Hey there everybody, welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to go over dimensionals. Alright, now to get started with this, what I want to do is draw a box. So what we're going to do is select the wall, and we are going to draw a rectangular wall here in our viewing pane. You'll notice that the wall has its temporary dimensions listed out. Now once we click away or hit escape, they'll disappear. But we can also click into them and manually adjust the dimensions of the wall. So let's go ahead and make our walls 50 feet by 60 feet. So remember, those were just the temporary dimensions. If we want to make additional changes, we can go up to the Annotations tab, and that gives us tons of options for all different annotations we can make on our walls. So we have all sorts of different dimensioning tools. We have aligned, linear, angular, radial, diameter, arc length, and then we have different options as far as spot elevations. You can also do detail work through these options. When you're doing details, you can hit these options, and then it just lets you put in lines exactly like in AutoCAD. Regions lets you put in region hatches. So there's lots of options, but for right now, I just want to go into linear. So for a line dimension, let's go ahead and click on the wall, and you can see that it'll sort of hover over the blue. If you hit tab, it will move to the interior, and if you hit tab again, it can move it to the exterior. So tab will move all around your different selections here. Now if you click on the wall again, you can see the dimension line appears, and it's looking for the next target. So we'll go ahead and click on the wall on the right. And now we can see that the distance covered is 50 feet. We can do the exact same thing with the exterior of the longer side. We click on one wall and then the other, and we move it out, and we can see that it's 60 feet. So that's one option. The other thing that you can do is if you see up here, there's the wall centerline option, which when you click shows you wall faces, center of core, and faces of core. These give you different options. If you click on wall faces, you'll notice our starting option is going to be the exterior and interior faces of the wall, not that center line we first saw. So now if we click on the two exterior walls, that shows us the length from one exterior to the other. One question I often get is, what if you want to make things equidistant? Well, to demonstrate that, I'm going to go ahead and delete our current measurements here. And I'll go in and add some doors and some windows, so we can get an idea of how these functions can be used. Alright, now note that I'm not putting them at any specific distance apart from each other. I'm just placing them kinda randomly, so we can get an idea of how to use the tool. Alright, and now I'm going to go into the Annotations tab and hit the Line button. There's also an option at the topmost toolbar, or you can hit DI in the keyboard shortcut. So once you've selected it, I'm going to hit on the exterior wall, and then if you move it over, you'll notice that blue line. That's going to be your snap point. When you click on it, it's going to find the center line. And we're just going to keep moving down the line, hitting all the doors and windows. Note that it's all one dimension line, so they're all connected. Okay, and when we finish up, we click on the exterior of the other wall, and we have them all joined. Now in order to end this process, you need to click anywhere except on one of those blue snap lines. Clicking on those lines will either undo or redo one of the joins that you've made. Once you click off, you'll notice these lock buttons. What that's going to do is keep that given dimension the same. So if I were to move my wall, the center of the door would stay 5 foot 4 inches from that exterior wall. Everything else will change, but that measurement won't if it's locked. So that's good if you have to maintain the dimension of some object or another. But for now we're going to unclick that, and you'll notice at the top here this EQ button. If you hit that, it will set all of your different objects in this dimensional line equidistant from one another. Because we clicked on actual objects, it moves the objects when we make them equidistant. If we click on EQ again, you can see that it shows that each object is a little over 7 foot 2 inches apart from each other. What's nice about this is if you keep the EQ option on, if you move the wall out, it will automatically adjust all of your objects so that they stay equidistant from one another. And if you need to see the dimensions, all you have to do is unclick it. Now sometimes you want them equidistant, but you want to give more information than what's provided. So if you make sure EQ is clicked and then hit the little EQ above the object, a window appears. And if you hit replace with text, it lets you adjust the information that's presented, either above the line or below the line. So I'll type in hold in the below line and hit OK. And now that value says EQ hold. In that same window, you'll notice the replace with text. We can go in there and actually replace EQ with something else. But note that this isn't AutoCAD. We can't go in there and manually change the dimensions through that menu. So if we try to put in a number, we get this error message that says specify descriptive text for a dimension segment instead of a numeric value. So what that means is you can change the name, but not to a different dimension, because that kind of defeats the purpose if you're going to have the wrong information listed. Revit is meant to work in the real world and provide an actual model of actual things that you could see in real life. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and hit cancel, but I want you to see that you can type into these measurements. So far, we've only been dealing with straight lines, but we could do angles. Let's go ahead and draw a wall here that has a pretty sharp angle. And if we want to find out what that angle is, we can use the Annotate Angular option. So we hit that button, and we'll select one wall and then the other. Again, notice those blue snap lines. And there you go. So that wall is at 61 degrees, making this other wall at 29 degrees. We'll go ahead and do the last one just for completion, and note that you can type into these angles too. So let's demonstrate that. We'll go ahead and click into this, we'll keep the 90 degrees, and in the suffix box we're going to type the word keep to show that we want to keep the dimensions at that level. So now we have the word keep after our 90 degrees. Note that you can drag this label around. There is a little leader attached to it, but if you uncheck leader right above the properties window, then it goes away. Note that leader is always selected by default in these annotations, but you can always get rid of it in exactly the same way. And there we go. Now it is gone. Be aware that when you uncheck leader on an entire dimension string, it removes the leader from all the elements of that string. So if you want some to have leaders and others not, you may have to do them as separate dimensions. And that's it. I'll see you in the next lesson.